So Europe is having a bit of a drought right now, and I hope they have better packed SPF 50 sunscreens. In this video you can see German police just watering the people of the public like they're plants. It also says Berlin 41 degrees Celsius, which if converted is about 102 degrees Fahrenheit, which I'm sure the Americans know is actually pretty hot. And in the next video we can see a similar thing of people being watered by a fire truck. In this video we can see people in the European Disneyland, I think in Paris, playing with the water in the fountain. And in this video you can see this black wax looking thing being rolled around by a train. And it kinda reminds me of that thing from The Boys season 5 and his thing. So the news are saying that this is either bitumen or train track sealant. Well, this is actually both. European bitumen, which is what the train track sealants are based off of, softens easily under the intense heat of the summer, and those are these clumps of shungite that you see being rolled around by the train. This is serious because headlines are everywhere talking about how hot the Europeans are having it. Well, mainly continental Europeans, because the fellas in the north, like Sweden, Norway and Finland, they're cool up there, they're doing fine. And the next video we got shows a man in Poland, in the city of Gdansk, of a man pressing his foot onto the asphalt. One fellow was shocked that this is actually asphalt and not sand. It really seems that the durability of everything is really being tested everywhere in the world under this summer. Now it's not only the continent of Europe that are being attacked by heat waves, the Americans were also being attacked by heat waves, and you can see videos on social media of the effects. There's also this thing I found out called El Nino, and I don't know what it exactly is, but it has been said as the major influence of the increasing heat all over the world. Multiple news outlets across multiple countries are talking about the bad effects of this El Nino thing. Every year it's like this, it seems. Every year Europeans were talking about how hot their summers are. You can see the posts from last year on X. Here's from 2023, here's from 2019, and even in 2017 the news were calling the summer heat of that time as Lucifer. Even with Europe being so climate loving and progressive, the data shows that they're actually the most fastest heating up continent in the world. And then there's the death toll. In America it was reported there were at least 22 deaths in New Jersey. But back in Europe in late June, at least 1,300 people were reported dead. Then that number grew into 2,000 and then 3,700. Some news were reporting that over 20,000 people dead in total, at least. Well, I guess all of them could be true. I also have heard that two sources, at least two of them, were telling me that the deaths were disproportionately elderly people, 60 plus years old. Well, I suppose that's because their bodies are old, they can't handle this heat. Now, if you responded to this fact by saying, well, they're supposed to be able to survive anyway because this is the modern world, they're supposed to be, you'd be correct. In Europe, the disproportionate amount of elderly dying can be attributed to two things. One is that the building architecture in Europe, and the second, a lack of AC. In Europe, the buildings are designed to keep warmth for the winter, not the other way around, that is, to keep cool in the summer. So you can see that under the blazes of inferno, the heat inside one house would be too much for a frail old man. So in light of recent events, now European architects are thinking of designing houses that keep cool even in the summer, going forward. The second reason is the lack of AC. I think I've read somewhere that only about 19% of European houses have AC inside them. I've also found out this outrageous news that there's a hospital in Germany that has no AC at all. The headline says, "The patients lie in their sweat." This leads to mocking by some Americans, wherein their cities or houses, over 90% of them have ACs inside them. This is because Europe has a sort of resistance towards AC. Contrary to popular belief, Europe doesn't straight up outright ban ACs. There are many reasons why Europeans, many of them, don't want to own ACs. One is because of the high energy prices, and the second is that they've always known summers to be mild, and so they think they don't need it. And three is because of the regulatory and neighborhood hurdles. And the fourth is that they make things look ugly and that they're too loud and they don't fit in well with the historic vibe of European cities. And of course, we can't forget about the climate reasons. For example, there's this post by the German Ministry of Broadcast saying that ACs don't work. There's also a professor from the United Kingdom also saying that ACs don't work. There's also this person called Audrey Pulvar, a French Paris official who made a Facebook post reproaching the American tourists who were complaining about how hot France was, and that America is to blame for France's hot conditions. The first message says, "Dear American journalists and social media influencers, for days some of you have been criticizing and making fun of Paris because the city doesn't have AC in every room of every apartment and places. OMG, this is so rich." And the second message talks about how America is the second largest greenhouse gas emitters, and yada yada. Some of the Americans responded snidely to this message. I've also found out that people are outraged at the news that at the European Commission's headquarters in Brussels, the ACs from floor 1 to floor 7 are turned off on account of easing pressure on the infrastructure, while floors 8 and above remain on. Fun fact? The president of European Commission, Ursula, sits at floor 13. With that being said, with all this heat, the demand of ACs in Europe are spiking. I mean, in France, there's this news of French people going out to buy ACs. There's also this crazy video I found of a tussle. I don't know what it's actually about, but it said it's about AC, and there is no doubt that this happens in France. I suspect that the Chinese are gonna profit heavily over this high demand of AC. Considering that they can make an AC in only 5 seconds here, they flexed about it on X. So, I guess we can expect next year that the Europeans in the next summer are gonna clamor again about how hot it is. It will be, I mean, considering that they're the fastest heating continent in the world right now. Alright, see ya.